Hi, I'm Claire and this is Podcast Recommendations Part 1. As I've mentioned many times on this channel, I'm obsessed with podcasts. I listen to a lot of them, so obviously I wanted to do a video and recommend some of my favorites to you all, but there are way too many to name in just one video. So this is going to be a little mini-series on my channel over the course of the next few weeks, in which I tell you about 4 different podcasts in each episode, and I've tried to kind of mix and match which podcasts I put where so that the episodes are kind of varied. I hope you enjoy it. Now, without further ado, first we have Fangirl Happy Hour, a show by Anna of Book Smugglers and Renee of Lady Business. This comes out a couple times a week. They talk about fandom and books and films and fanfic and all the kind of things that I love. In their main Friday episodes, they will look at specific pieces of media that they've mentioned ahead of time, so that if you want, you can read along with them and a kind of book club sort of feel. They discuss all of these things in detail and have really interesting, smart conversations. They also discuss the rest of the media that they've been consuming, and they give out recommendations as well. I have read some things that I've absolutely loved from their recommendations, so I would definitely vouch for those. And they also have really fun Q&A episodes on Tuesdays, in which they take questions that have been given to them on Twitter or on Patreon and talk about those as well. Next is I Should Be Writing by Mer Lafferty. As the name suggests, it is a show about writing, of course, but more specifically it's a show about being a writer, and it's a show about the many trials and tribulations and difficulties that are inherent in being a writer and trying to make it as a writer. Now, this show has been going on for over 10 years now, and I've definitely been listening to it for about, I think, 8 years, so this has been a presence in my life for a long time. The show is half Mer discussing what's going on with her at the moment, the kind of things that she's having to deal with, both as now a published professional writer and as, you know, someone who's just trying to finish a book. And then in the second part of the show, she will have an interview. Every other episode that she does is a feedback episode in which she just answers questions from listeners. It's also a show that's really helped me out when I was trying to figure out how to network and talk to people at conventions, how to approach authors at book events, how to conduct myself when I was at a panel or at a signing, that kind of thing. I think it's really given me a much greater appreciation of what it is that writers do. Next is Overinvested, a podcast about pop culture obsessions. This is done by Gavia Baker-Whitelaw, who is a journalist at the Daily Dot, and Morgan Davies, who I think was a journalist before but is now in academia. In each episode they will talk about a piece of media in depth and really go to town discussing it. Most of the time these are films or TV shows, but they've also recently done a pre-Oscar and post-Oscar show, as well as a show about the Olympics back when those were on. Every time they discuss a piece of media, whether they've loved it or they've hated it, they are really, as per the title of the podcast, really invested in telling you about it, and they have strong feelings and strong opinions that they are putting across in very hilarious ways. They are 2 extremely articulate people who know a lot about film, TV, pop culture, that kind of thing, and so they bring all of that with them when they have those discussions, and it is just delightful. When the recent kerfuffle with the announcement of the Best Picture Oscar happened, the first thing that I thought was, wow, that is really unfortunate. And the second thing that I thought was, wow, this is going to be a really fun episode of Overinvested, and indeed it was. And my final recommendation today is Futility Closet, a podcast by Greg Ross and Sharon Ross, in which they talk about a lot of weird things. Strange anecdotes from history, funny random happenstances, and other things of the sort. Each episode focuses on one main story or anecdote that is incredibly well researched and well laid out for us. Generally, Greg will be telling the story and Sharon will be asking for clarification or information or giving comments. They discuss it for a little bit and then move on to secondary topics that they can wrap up in about 5 minutes each. These might be stories about which we know a lot less information, so we can't have as much time dedicated to them, or they might be corrections about previous episodes that listeners have sent in. And then each episode wraps up with a lateral thinking puzzle. Greg and Sharon will take turns giving each other a weird situation that the other person has to solve just by asking yes or no question. I love the main stories, but I really can't wait for the lateral thinking puzzle every week. That really makes my Monday. So that's it. Those were 4 of the podcasts that I listen to regularly that I would definitely recommend everyone check out. And I hope you enjoyed this video, because I have a few more like this one coming up really soon. Let me know in the comments below if there are any other podcasts you enjoy or you think I would enjoy based on what I discussed. If you'd like to see more from me, check the sidebar right here for more videos. And if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button for new videos from me every week. I've been Claire, thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.